right, time for another day of training. So we had a pretty good training our first training on Tuesday. We kind of did an overview basically of the launch and the key items there. And today we're going to really hone in really on just a few aspects from there, some of the big ones, mostly focusing around line items, section lines, and bundles. I think we're also going to touch on and do a training on discount lines as well, just to document that. And then open it up if anyone has any additional comments or questions. And we may just wrap up early today. Um, but we'll see how the day pans out. So let me jump over to my demo screen here. And I think I see we have at least one viewer. Definitely feel free to put your name in the chat here so we know who's here. Um, we're just going to get started here. All right, so I'm going to open up a job. And the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to build a job based on, let's say we're doing a shower head install. And so I'm going to go here to quotes and invoicing, and I'm going to just start from clean here. And I'm going to add, let's say we're going to need about a half hour of labor on this. So I'm going to just do 0.5 for the labor. And I'm going to add in a material line item. Let's say this one here is for a generic shower head that we have on the account here for $100. And this is great. This works just fine. I can produce a quote based on this, and I have a nice clean document to send it away to the customer. But let's, in this example, we want to spice this up a little bit. So in order to do that, let's create a section line. So I'm going to save this and go to our settings and materials. And what we need to do is create a new material, and you can give the item number whatever you'd like. I've usually used header in the past, but in this case, I'm just going to do section. For a new section, I'm going to just, for the name, I'm just going to set update as the name because I want this to always change. Pricing and everything else will stay at 0. Not going to really touch that at all. Great. And I'm going to pop back over to the dispatch board, go to my settings, and back here. Now, theoretically, I could have done that from here. I could have had add material and done the exact same thing, section and update. But I wanted to kind of do it fresh and clean, and this way here, I don't have to worry about the name changing on me or anything like that. So I'm going to hit section, and for update, I'm going to say shower head. All right, and I'm going to put this in the first position on the first item in the list. The most important thing here, because if I just hit produce quote, I've got, quantity of 1 and pricing of 0. I don't want that, right? So let me close this, and I'm going to set the quantity of this to 0. Now you can see right away it got rid of the pricing items there, and I hit produce quote. And now I have a nice clean, it clearly separates it here, so section, shower head, and then the items under it. Nice, clean way of presenting my quote to my customer using section lines. So now that we've done a more traditional setup, let's do the exact same thing, but with bundles. And let's close this. Let's go back to settings. Now this we definitely would have to go to settings for. And we're used to working within materials, but where we're going to jump now is to bundles. And to get to bundles, if you haven't done so already, you'll want to go to settings, ServiceMate add-ons, and just search for bundles. If I could type, that'd be good. There we go, bundles, and just turn that on. Okay. So, but from settings, materials, bundles, we're going to create a new bundle here. And let me just hit create a bundle, add bundle. And I'm just going to call this, for my example here, test bundle A. Okay. And obviously this could be whatever you want. It could even be shower head, right? And maybe for this example, I'm going to actually do that. So I'm going to call this my shower head bundle. And the name of this is install new shower head. And we're going to do the same things here. So I need 2 items. And I just forgot that I already did that. So I'm just going to pull that back out. So labor. And we'll do this at a half an hour, 0.5, and then add in this item here, and we're going to call this shower head install. Okay. And there we go, perfect. Let me just save this. And this is just saying that existing jobs will not be affected. That's fine. Okay. We go back to my dispatch board, back to our job here. And let's get rid of these items. And now I can search for my shower head install. And here we are. So now we've got one line item for shower head at the correct price. And if you notice here, I can put whatever I want in here, install new shower head in the name. But when I go to click on the item code area or the price area, it's more of a link. And you can see what's popping up here on the left are the details about this, letting me know that there are two items, a labor and a material. And if I click on it, I can actually see the details that make up this bundle, and if I needed to, make changes for this job specifically. And if I were to produce a quote for this, let's just do that real quick. I get a single clean line item, the way I probably would want to see it, shower head, install new shower head, and we're good to go. Now let's say in this situation, the customer did want to have us install a special shower head, install shower head, and what I want to do is go to new line. Oops. Well, let's see here. I'm wanting to add a new return carriage, but I'm having a hard time doing that. I'm wondering if that is because it's let me just try doing a material here, just to see if it's something I'm just not thinking of. Well, I know I've done it in the past. Must be something either something has changed. Well, let me just do it this way then. Install new shower head. It's going to be the Acme 1000 shower head. And if I were to go back in here and this is install shower head, going to be the Acme 1000, and it costs, because the customer wants me to buy it for them, it's cost $150. And save that. So now that's updated and saved. I'm going to save it in this job. And when I go back to settings, back to my materials, and look at my bundle, I'm going to see that nothing has changed here. So that Acme 1000 detail remained only in that job, just like any other material. So it makes it very, very easy to still make those adjustments, make those shifts within that unique job and within the unique use case for that customer, and be able to quote things out appropriately. Now, the other important thing to note on bundles is since they are comprised of material items that build them, when you change the pricing of these related items, so if I were to close this and go to my materials list, go to this item here and change it from 100 to 125, let's say pricing changes, right? And save that. When I look back to my bundle, it reflects that change. So that makes updating the pricing of these very, very easy. Now, obviously, the pricing didn't have any impact on your existing jobs, just like line items themselves. They were simply copied in very easily, but this makes it really, really easy to update those prices as well. It's probably also important to note that if you're connected to an accounting package, when ServiceMate sends this invoice and the line items to the accounting package when you approve that job, it's not going to send over the bundle as a unique line item. What it's going to send over are the individual pieces that make up that bundle into your accounting package. And it does that for a few reasons. A, the accounting package probably doesn't have a similar type of system, and if it did, it'd be difficult to make the two mesh, so that's why it's simplified this way. But also for inventorying purposes. So a lot of teams will still enable from their material lists. Let me go back over here. Under the stock, if you indicate that this item is inventoried and you have an inventory level, well, only once the job and the invoice has been approved and it sends the accounting package will those quantities update. So if I had 20 of these in stock and I send an invoice to QuickBooks that has one of them on it, only after it was sent to QuickBooks, for example, would that stock number change from 20 to 19. So that's part of the reason as well of how it's going to be a little different from what you see in ServiceMate to what actually kicks over to QuickBooks or your accounting package. So overall, that's Bundles. Really, really powerful, really neat tool that is now available within your ServiceMate account. All right, and the other item I wanted to kind of talk about, and this kind of came up last week, and I've actually had a few other questions come up recently, so I just want to document, is a lot of times we want to add a discount for a customer. And I'm going to have, and I'll just do it here. So I'm going to put a new item code for a discount. Discount. And set that to bulk discount for the initially. But what a lot of teams find frustrating at first until they realize this is you can't set a quantity. Let's say I want to do a $25 discount on this job. I can't set this value to a negative. I'm hitting my minus button and it's not doing anything. It only receives numbers. So you can't have a negative price. I can't set a negative price. However, I can set a negative quantity. So I hit -1 and boom. So my price remained at 25, but obviously multiplying it by the quantity of -1 makes it a -25 amount, discounting that line item basically from the job total and bringing this job down to $175. So discounting in ServiceMate is done that way, where we're just simply indicating the dollar amount we're going to discount and then a quantity of usually -1 unless you're doing something special. That makes flat dollar amount discounts very, very easy. If you're trying to do a percentage, obviously it gets a little bit more complicated at that point. Generally speaking, your best way of doing that is most likely going to be doing some math external of the job of ServiceMate in your calculator. $200 times 8% or whatever the percentage is you're trying to do, and then come back here and set the dollar amount to that. Okay. And as I expected, that only took about 15 minutes or so. And I know we've got, like I said, one viewer in our live session here. Is there any questions you had specifically? Well, you may be typing in there. I'm going to close my window just because I hear a mower running in the distance. Okay, well, I'm going to do a few more things here. So one of the things that I did want to talk about for teams is job queues. And job queues is really one of the most important aspects of ServiceMate, often overlooked. Oop. All right, Mary, no problem. And so with job queues, what's really important there is we really want to make sure that every job is either on the schedule or in a job queue somewhere. Because basically, what the job queues are is saying, hey, this job is waiting for something. And if the job isn't waiting for something, that should mean that it's on the schedule. And if it's not in either of those places, what's going on with it? And that's usually the call to action for most admins and teams within ServiceMate. And so we really want to have, most importantly, the unscheduled jobs list as empty as possible. We don't want to have any jobs in here. They should be in a queue somewhere. So one thing I usually want to focus on initially with teams is let's get your job queues organized. And usually we start by, let's just get rid of the ones that are there. Now that we've got a clean slate, let's start building out some queues. And let's say we're going to also include some sales tools in here as well. So let's kind of put some prospect customers in here. And there are two types of job queues as well. There's jobs that are going to be just simply on hold, and then jobs that are going to require some kind of action. And so what we really want to do is identify what type of job queue we're creating here. And by and large, most job queues are just on hold. Requiring action is basically saying I'm going to select a specific person when I put this job into this queue that is going to own this job moving forward, and I want it to be within their attention whenever anything happens with it. And so most of the time, especially from a sales perspective, if we're doing prospect type of jobs, that's typically what we're going to see there. And let's say prospect jobs, I only want them to be in here for 2 days by default. We can always deviate from that, but that's just the default time frame. So we've got a prospect queue. We've got a queue for need quote. To also requiring action, I also want to only have that for 2 days. And then once the job has been quoted, I want a quoted queue. That one can just be on hold. And I'm going to give the customer up to a week on that one. Okay. Now, a lot of teams typically will have a need material queue. That's just also, and let's say that's generally something that a specific person is over ordering material. So I want to indicate that, and I want that as a 1 day. That should get done right away. And additionally, once we have materials ordered, we're awaiting materials. Okay. And that's just on hold. That's not a big deal. I'm going to also set that for a week. Some stuff may come in tomorrow. Some stuff may come in 2 weeks, right? But we'll find out when we order it. Okay. So most teams need all of, if not a combination of these queues, and maybe a few more, but usually most teams, this encompasses it because really, once the job is quoted, it's approved, we may need to order materials, but other than that, it's usually going on the schedule, right? So those are going to be the big things that we're going to really hone in on. But if you notice, awaiting materials is over here and needs quote, and if I just save this and go right to the dispatch board, I'm going to see that in the same order, which isn't really helpful for most teams. So what we really want to do here is put this in a more helpful order. Well, before ServiceMate 11, what we would do is we put a number before these to kind of create an order system to them, because ServiceMate wants to put things in alphabetical or numeric order. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to the Queue tab, and I'm going to scroll over all the way to the right, where I have this little icon here. And what this allows me to do is to set the order of my queues, which typically is ascending. But we can also set a custom order. And when I do that, I can actually put these in the order I want to see them in. So I have my prospect first, just like the order we created them. Then I've got my need quote, quoted, need material, and awaiting materials. Perfect. And save that. And now both my queue board and my job queues at the top of the screen are now in the order I really need them to be in order to function well. And so, this quote here, this is the one we were building earlier, and I'm just going to close this guy, and this one is quoted. We sent this to the customer. Boom, it's quoted for a week, and I don't need to think about it anymore. And let's just say, this job here, we need to order materials. And it says, great, well, who needs to order them? And if you notice, it's going to automatically say, okay, well, how long is it going to be? They have 1 day to get it done. We need to order materials soon. And I can select the staff member. I want these material, who's going to be notified and who's going to stay on these that need to get it done. And I hit save there, and oops, that's the same one. I don't want that one there. I want that one there. I thought I had a different one there. There we go. Perfect. And I can just go through these. Oh, all jobs. That's why I thought it was an unscheduled. Um, and because really what we want to do is focus on getting these jobs done. Oh, this job was done yesterday. I don't know why it's still here. Let me go ahead and mark it as complete. Because as an admin, I want to spend my time getting this list done. And what I always kind of tell teams is if you do nothing else but really stay on top of the unscheduled jobs list, realistically, 80 to 90% of your work is maintained just by that. And where queues become really, really handy is it allows me to just stay on top of what I need to focus on. And ServiceMate is then helping me manage my work. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to really do much of anything else but focus on this. And when I come in tomorrow, if anything expired from a queue, I'm going to see it in unscheduled. It will still be in the queue that it expired from, which is helpful. But anything that was assigned to me, I now see for my review here, which is also really, really helpful. So if I have multiple things that I do, let's say I'm the person who sends a quote to a customer or gets it ready, and I'm the person ordering materials, I see them all here, and that's important. Okay, and it looks like these queues have tasks that are also assigned to me, which I see them here. So this view here becomes really, really important to be able to function and work within a team on ServiceMate, and ServiceMate becomes that central hub for everything. Now, the same thing that we did there with queues can be applied to staff. And so some teams have a very, very large team that could have anywhere from more than 4 to maybe closer to 20 or even 30 or more staff members. And what I've seen a lot of teams do, just like we used to do with queues, is put some kind of prefix to the name that will put it in the right order that we want to see it in. But that isn't always super helpful all the time. And so what we want to do is really set an order to these staff that is going to make a bit more sense for us. And so what ServiceMate has given us now is a ability to do that. And here we are. So just like in the keyboard, we've had this icon here to to sort things differently. On the staff schedules, when I hover over staff, it is now a drop down where I could sort it by alphabetical, or if I hit that, I could do again a custom order, and I could put the staff in the order that I want to see them in. Really, really helpful. And a lot of teams that have had these prefixes added to all their names, you can now take those prefixes off and just simply put the staff in the order you want to see them on your staff schedules. Okay. All right. Well, that's honestly all I really wanted to really focus on today and be able to just answer any additional questions that anyone might have. Um, I know we have 2 viewers now. I know, Mary, you initially said you didn't have any questions. But Mary or our new viewer, any questions you may have? So in order for your account to be on ServiceMate 11, the account owner has to select a link or click a link and activate that. The best way to do that, let me pop over here. Oops, that's not the right one. just a second here. There we are. Okay, so currently, if you go to servicemate.com, at the top it talks about the ServiceMate 11 has arrived, and then there's a watch video. If you go there, just under the video is an Activate ServiceMate 11 button that you can press, or that they would press, honestly. So once they do, and it would prompt them to sign in. Let's see what happens if I do it. Yeah. So it would they would be able to sign in and be able to do exactly that. Okay. And that would activate for the whole account is the big thing. So it activates account wide, and then everyone would be on ServiceMate 11 basically at that point. Obviously, the big thing is also really important is on your guys in the field. Especially once we've updated to ServiceMate 11, we want to make sure we've also updated on the apps on everyone's devices as well. Okay. Definitely. Anything else down in Florida? I think I was got my hair is cut today, and they were planning a trip down to Panhandle, and they were saying that hurricanes are coming in. So I hope you guys are ready. Yes, so this will be a weekly training session. The content will change every week. My goal is to kind of plan for about 15 to 30 minutes of content at least that I'm scripting and kind of wanting to hit on, and then having just open for the rest. If we only have 30 minutes of training, that's fine. If we end up going an hour and a half, that's fine as well. But I am planning on having a training session every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right. Well, does anyone have any other? Perfect. Great time. That worked out well then, it sounds like, for you, Mary. And anything from the First Coast team? All right. Well, it doesn't look like it, but that's all right. Well, great. I'm going to just go ahead and wrap up early today for myself as well. And if you do have any questions, always feel free to reach out. But if nothing else, hopefully see you guys next week on Tuesday and Thursday.